Good day, everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic. Stay tuned. Last meeting, we discussed all about integumentary system. Right now, we are going to have another organ system. By the way, be reminded when we say organ system is the group of organs working together for a specific function. Now, let us know our second system. Musculoskeletal system. What is musculoskeletal system? It is the group of organs or system that work together to move different parts of your body. So the main function of musculoskeletal system is to move different parts of your body. Now, what are the other functions of musculoskeletal system? Actually, there are many functions, but I'm going to present a few of them. First one, we have here, it gives us posture, support, and shape. With the help of musculoskeletal system, we can have posture, support for our body, and shape of our body. Next one, it gives us protection. Protection for the internal organs, brains, the heart, and other ones. Then, it allows us to have movements. It helps for the production of red blood cells. And it serves as the mineral storage. So those are just some of the functions of musculoskeletal system. But then when we say red blood cells, just think about blood. Later on, when we'll be able to proceed to another topic, you'll be able to know further what red blood cells are. Aside from that, when we say mineral storage, it serves as the storage of the minerals, vitamins needed for our body. Since musculoskeletal system is composed of bones and muscles, you can expect that there are actually two subsystems. What are those subsystems? Skeletal system and the the muscular system. Again, what are those two? Skeletal system and the muscular system. Skeletal system is mainly composed of bones. Then muscular system, from the word itself muscular, so it refers to muscles. So bones, skeletal system, muscles, muscular system. We are going to discuss them one by one so that we'll be able to distinguish, so that we can differentiate the two. Let us start with the skeletal system. There are two divisions of skeletal system, namely axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. What are the differences between the two? When we say axial skeleton, it refers to bones or skeletons that protects internal organs. What are examples of axial skeletons? They are skull, rib cage, and vertebral column. What does skull protect? It protects the brain right here. How about the rib cage? It protects the lungs and the heart and other internal organs. Vertebral column or the backbone protects the spinal cord. When we say appendicular skeleton, they are skeletons or bones that give support to the body. What are examples of appendicular skeleton? They are upper limbs, pelvic girdle, and the lower limbs. Upper limbs are the bones right there on the arms, upper arm and lower arm. Pelvic girdle, the hip bone. The lower limbs are the thigh and the leg bones. So those are the two divisions of skeletal system. Axial skeleton gives protection for the internal organs. At the same time, appendicular skeleton gives support to the body. Okay. Next one, we have compositions of skeletal system. What do you mean by compositions? There are actually things composing skeletal system or organs composing skeletal system. There are actually three, but we're going to go first with the bone. Specifically, since skeletal system is composed of skeletons, so you can expect that it is composed of bones. Bones are organs with outer covering connective tissue called as periosteum. What is periosteum? Periosteum is something that we can find on the bones, the white tissue, slimy white tissue on the bones. So that is what we call periosteum. So be reminded that bones have periosteum. Next one, cartilage. Cartilage is made up of flexible connective tissue which allows smooth movement and it protects bones from rubbing each other. Actually, bones are rubbing one another. However, since there's cartilage, it helps us to reduce, or we cannot actually, it helps us to have, um, it prevents the feeling of sensation, rather. It helps us to um, prevent feeling the painful sensation caused by rubbing of bones. So let's say, for example, since we can expect that bones, there are actually many bones, so they're connected so that we can have our body. In that particular part where they are connected, there's actually cartilage on their edges. So this is bone 1, bone 2. This is the part where they are connected. So right here, the whitish part on the edges, the whitish slimy part on the edges of the bones is what we call cartilage. Cartilage is a slimy thing that allows us to have smooth movement so that on this part of our body we cannot feel pain sensation. So with that one, since we can expect that there will be friction or rubbing happening in this particular part of our bodies, there will be um, painful sensation we can feel. However, since there is cartilage, cartilage allows us to have smooth movement. So, thanks to cartilage, we can move freely without feeling pains. Okay, next one, joints. Joints, as what you have known, joint is a place where two bones meet. Okay, be reminded that joints are places where two bones meet and they're held together by tough tissue called as ligaments. So this part is actually bone. Yes, a joint rather. This is bone 1, bone 2. In order for them to be connected, there must be a joint. Joint is the one that connects them. And aside from that, in order for it to be held together, there's actually a tough tissue so that the bones, somewhat like it is a rope that tied them properly. So this is the ligament and this is the joints. Be reminded, joints are the places where two bones meet. So we're done already with the compositions of the skeletal system, namely the bones, cartilage, and joints. By the way, right here, the joint, on these edges of the bones, we can find the cartilage. Let us go to types of joints. Speaking of joints, be reminded, okay, we have three types of joints. Let us go first with the first one. Immovable joint, or also called as fixed joints. They are actually joints that are firmly attached. Example, the joints in skull. Skull is composed of many bones. Bone 1, bone 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In order for them to be connected, there must be a joint. These cracked things are actually joints. Though they're joints, they do not allow movements. And hence they're called as immovable or fixed joints. Next one, we have slightly movable joints or partially movable joints. These are joints that allow slight movements, unlike fixed or immovable joints. Slightly or partially movable joints, they allow slight movements. What are those examples? The joints that can be found in your vertebrae. What are those vertebrae? Um, Vertebrae is, if you can still remember, other term for vertebral column. It is the backbone. So backbone or vertebral column is actually composed of many bones, tiny bones. So we have bone 1, 2, 3. Actually, there's a lot. But how are they be connected? How they will be connected? So they will be connected by joints. So these are joints. Joint, joints. These joints allow slight movements. Mostly slightly or partially movable joints can be found on vertebrae or vertebral column. Okay, let us go right now to the third type of joint. It is called as freely movable or synovial joints. These joints allow a wide range of movements. With these joints, we'll be able to um, crawl, walk, climb, at the same time fold or bend our body. Now, there are actually different types of freely movable or synovial joints. They are pivot joints, hinge joints, saddle joints, ball and socket joint, condyloid joint, and the plane joints. Now, what are the differences among the six? So let us go further. Pivot joint can be found on the upper part of your neck, connecting your vertebrae and your head. Hinge joint is a type of freely movable joint that can be found in between humerus and ulna. So the one that connects humerus or ulna is hinge joint. What is humerus? The humerus is the upper arm bone and ulna is the lower arm bone opposite to your thumb. Okay, your thumb can be found right here. So this is the radius rather, and the ulna is right here. So ulna and the humerus are being connected by hinge joint. Let us go to saddle joint. Saddle joint can be found in between metacarpal and carpal. Metacarpal are bones in between your wrists and your fingers, and carpal is the wrist bone. So, the one that connects the wrist bone or the carpal and the metacarpal is saddle joint. Let us go to ball and socket joint. Ball and socket joint is a type of freely movable or synovial joint that connects hip bone and the femur. What is femur? The upper leg bone. And this is your hip bone. In between them, the ball and socket joint that is still considered as freely movable or synovial joint. Fifth one, condyloid joint. What is condyloid joint? Where can we find condyloid joint? We can find condyloid joint in between metacarpal and phalanx or phalanges. Phalanges is the plural form for phalanx. Metacarpal are bones, if you can remember, that can be found in between the wrist bone or carpals and the phalanges. So, the ones that connect the metacarpal and phalanges is the condyloid joint. What is phalanx? Phalanx is a finger bone. Okay. Plane joint. Plane joint can be found in ankle or in your tarsals. So those are the different um, types of freely movable or synovial joints. Okay, we're done already with the muscular system. Let us proceed to we're done already with the skeletal system. Let us proceed to muscular system. So, our body has more than 600 muscle that bring movements. Even our stomach, our other internal organs, our most of our internal organs are actually muscles. So there are actually 600 or more muscles that can be found in human body. So what are they? There are actually types of muscles. There are three: skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and the smooth muscle. Let us go first with the skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is known as the voluntary muscle. What do you mean by voluntary muscle? If your brain will tell you to move it, directly you can move that muscle. These muscles are actually attached on your bones or skeletons, and they have striations. Striations are somewhat like lines. If you're going to use microscope and we're going to zoom in this skeletal muscle, we can observe stripes on its appearance. Again, when I say skeletal muscle, they're muscles attached on skeletons or bones. So our bones are actually wrapped with skeletal muscle, and they're voluntary muscles. So therefore, we can control these muscles. Next one, we have cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle are involuntary muscle. What do you mean by this one? We cannot control this muscle. It will eventually move or work without our control. So it will eventually do its function. It will move regardless of our control. So we cannot control this one. It can be found on the walls of the heart. So cardiac muscle can be found on your or in your heart. And since they're involuntary muscle, good that they're involuntary muscle because it can be found in our heart. It makes our heart be able to pump. Try to imagine if they are voluntary muscles, so we keep on, we'll be very tired of always controlling this type of muscle. Just imagine if you're sleeping and you're out of control already, so your heart will stop to pump if that is voluntary muscle. However, since cardiac muscle is involuntary muscle, so it will do its function, though we are already asleep or we're not controlling it. And the same with the skeletal muscle, they have stripes or striations. Next one, smooth muscle. Smooth muscle, just like the cardiac muscle, they're involuntary muscles. We cannot control them. They will do their function, though we're not controlling them to do it so. It can be found on the stomach or in your stomach, intestine, and blood vessels. And they are non-striated. What do you mean by this one? If you're going to zoom in the smooth muscle, they don't have lines on them, on their appearance. That is why they're called a smooth muscle, because they're very slimy. They don't have lines. They don't have striations. So that is smooth muscle. Again, let us recap. When I say cardiac muscle is involuntary. Smooth muscle is involuntary. Then skeletal muscle is voluntary. Then cardiac muscle has striations. So as with skeletal system has striations. Smooth muscle is non-striated. It doesn't have striations. Cardiac muscle can be found in the walls of your heart or on the walls of your heart, and skeletal muscle are attached on your skeletons or bones, and smooth muscle can be found in your stomach, intestines, blood vessels. So those are the types of muscles. If you have any clarification or question regarding our topic, feel free to send message on your LMS. Thank you for listening. God bless and see you next time.